Would you have preferred I used your name? Oh, I see. So I know that you have been sickeningly spying on me ever since I actually communicated with you directly. I know that. You've completely abused your position and you've completely abused whatever else you had access to. And you took what I sent you in absolute 100% good faith. And you did that stuff that all your little spy friends do along with you, which is say, oh, I didn't have time to read it. And that's an absolute lie. You totally did read it because I heard you. And I also know what you did with it, which was absolutely 100% slanderous and was absolutely 100% treasonable. And was, even if it's just like some sort of, sort of simulation where you have your psyops buddies, like create scenarios because you're trying to test something, it's 100% disgusting and predatory concerning children and their sexuality. And it does hurt that you're the only person from my life before I got kidnapped and raped for people that should never have been allowed in public office. It really hurts that I actually knew you and thought you were a good person, and you've been psyoping me the entire time since I contacted you. It really does. But if that's what you're acknowledging now, I hope all of you understand you should have already closed up shop. You should have already closed up shop and you should have gotten your sex predator asses out of other countries. Because let me tell you something. What recourse do you have now if they decide they're going to take your little Iranian hostage situation scenario seriously? What recourse do you have now if somebody decides that, tactically speaking, probably the best course of action we could take would be to infiltrate sites where US aid is actually active and take hostage the people that are working with US aid, because it has now been understood that all they are really doing is acting as infiltrators that are there to set up illicit finance on the people who are most vulnerable in our communities. What are you going to do? Because let me tell you, if I had any clout, I would be like, send me the bill. And then I'd negotiate whether or not I felt your lives were worth that much. Because I believe that you guys are actually operating a terrorist cell that's using the cover of the Department of State in order to try to get away with war crimes. And I'm sorry. You personally and your little cohorts had the best chance of anybody to deal with this reasonably and responsibly. And what you did is made a complete fucking mockery of anything that could have been considered diplomatic service or a diplomatic arm of the United States government. Now, I already know what Trump did around the time that they were doing their little wrangling over the government budget. But if you're to be considered one of those 800,000 federal workers that's completely unqualified to command the rest of us to prostitute ourselves to pay their salaries and their pensions, and you got to be the first tier to be liquidated in order to make sure we get back enough to take care of ourselves before we get invaded by a foreign country that you guys, while you're in the field, have already tried to set some sort of sweetheart deal for yourself up for? I'm sorry. Priorities. You really, really should have responded in a legitimate and legal manner rather than trying to play a bitch pinata game for all this time.